Hey everybody, how you doing? I hope you're all feeling a lot better than I am today. Um, Gross out alert. I woke up vomiting again this morning, and I've been getting a lot of pressure in my ears and ringing. I've been real lethargic lately. Just trying to get things done. Um, I've had a lot of cognitive issues lately that I don't always have. Seems to be real tough concentrating right now, and so I'm just up here in my room today, going through videos, listening to journalists that are reporting Q drops, decoded Q drops, talking about different corruption and trafficking in here in the United States. And a video just came up recently um, about the corruption and the trafficking rings here in Arizona, and I really wasn't aware of how bad it was. But I just posted that video on my Facebook page and my Twitter page. If you want to check that out. But what I wanted to make this video for is this post right here. And earlier, actually, Kevin Shipp, Kevinship, he is the former CIA agent that uh, talks about the deep state and the shadow government, the difference between them, and a lot of government corruption, the Clinton cartel, how Obama tried to ruin our country. Same thing I've been saying since this uh, whole thing started with Obama. A friend that I looked up to and trusted, he gave me some information. He told me that it was going to be bad news when Obama got into office, and I started watching what Obama was doing, and it was completely obvious to me. So I started speaking out about it right away, actually, right after I became a journalist. And my life got really weird. Yeah, and I never knew anything about MK Ultra until maybe last year, and then I realized more and more that it was basically explaining my life. And trying to tell somebody that you've been through something like this, their first thought is, well, does that even exist? And why you? Why are you so special? It's almost like their ego gets hurt that they weren't picked for this torture program. I don't know. I don't understand it. Um, because this is nothing that anyone would ever wish on anyone, on their worst enemy. You know, I mean, the people that are responsible for all this, I'd like to see them have to go through this whole thing for maybe 6 months, just so they can see what they put people through. And it still wouldn't be the same because they would be aware that they'd have to go through it. They would know. They would know what was going on, but then they would have to actually see what a victim of this kind of program. There's multiple programs like this in the targeting program, the overall targeting program. It's compartmentalized. There's all kinds of different ways that they target people, and this is just one of them. Um, so anyway, Kevin Shipp shared this earlier, and now Lionel shared this, and people have been speaking out about MK Ultra continuously for years now. Now that I have been reading these articles and looking back on this, and people try to say stuff like, "Oh, that's just satanic panic," and it's not. This is proven. There's documents that this happened. It ended in 1975, supposedly. Um, and then it just went darker and deeper into different compartmentalized, classified groups, known as USAPs, unacknowledged special access programs. That way, they can hide everything from the president and Congress, the voters. It's only they know. It's their own special world where anything goes, and there's no oversight. Laws and rules don't exist. So a lot of targeted individuals, and I don't talk about this part too much, um, talk about being influenced, psychologically influenced. And there's different ways that this happens. You get psychologically influenced through society, through people repetitiously bringing up a certain topic to you, items being placed in front of you intentionally to get you a seed planted to get you to be thinking about that item. Something that's negative that's going to negatively impact your life. But this part that they're talking about right here is something that I've been very hesitant to talk about, especially since the stuff that I've been going through and trying to get through this court process. But this information is out, and if I could get somebody to test me, I'm almost positive I can prove I have something like this device that I'm going to talk about in the back of my head. I have a marble-sized lump right at the top of the base of my neck, basically directly between my ears. In the back of my head, and it feels like a marble is implanted in there or something, and it's never felt right. I used to get nicked when I would get haircuts, and I'd always ask the doctor, hey, what is this? And they said, oh, it's just calcium, that's how you were born. And that was always the answer, but it doesn't seem like that's something that is natural or organic. It feels like a foreign object planted right at the top of my spine. So this article is by zerohedge.com. The CIA agency made 6 remote-controlled dogs as a part of their MK-Ultra behavior modification or mind control program. Using brain surgery, newly requested documents show that the dogs were field operational and controlled by human beings. Now, I just want to make a note. I saw this maybe a day ago, 2 days ago, and I just read it and I shared it. And literally, right after that, I went to the store and a pit bull was just out in the middle of the street, wandering around, stopped in front of my car, and was just sitting there looking at me. Now, that I'm sure was a coincidence, but I could not believe the impeccable timing of it. It was really odd. Okay, so the CIA marked the 65th anniversary of the launch of Project MK-Ultra, and the public is finally getting a more broad and detailed look at just how far those attempting these gruesome experiments were willing to go in order to gain control of our thoughts. The documents were provided under Freedom of Information Act FOIA request. The Black Vault founder John Greenwald, according to a report by Newsweek, the Black Vault specializes in declassified government records. In other declassified letter, in one declassified letter released as file C something, a redacted individual writes to a doctor whose name has also been redacted with advice about launching a laboratory for experiments in animal mind control. The writer of the letter is already an expert in the field whose earlier work has culminated with the creation of 6 remote-controlled dogs, which could be made to run, turn, and stop. As you know, I spent about 3 years working in the research area of rewarding electrical stimulation of the brain, the individual writes. In the laboratory, we performed a number of experiments with rats in the open field with employed dogs of several breeds. As if their mind control experiments on humans were not disturbing enough, the CIA also admits that the goal was to control the behavior of a dog. That's exactly what they do with targeted individuals. They try to control your behavior. And it's usually negative. It's usually to get a negative reaction. The specific aim of the research program was to examine the possibility of controlling the behavior of a dog. Did I already read that part? an open field by means remotely triggering electrical stimulation to the brain, the report states. Uh, okay, yeah, if you haven't read Dr. Robert Duncan's book, or any of his books, he's got a few of them, you should get those and read that and hear how he talks about using this kind of technology, um, helping create this type of technology. Uh, after the surgery to control the mind of a dog, the CIA states that the gruesome side effects could be infection at the electrode site due to a failure of a surgical wound to heal. Newsweek reported that after trying out the plastic helmet, government scientists instead settled on the new surgical technique that involved embedding the electrode entirely within a mound of dental cement on the skull and running the leads subcutaneously to a point between the shoulder blades, where the leads are brought to the surface and affixed to a standard dog harness. So it shows right here, this is the bone. They put this wire right here. It goes up, and they put this cement, some kind of epoxy that probably hardens like a rock, right on top of that, and then a screw. Now, this thing in the back of my head feels exactly like this. If this thing is small enough, I don't know. I tried to get a brain. Actually, I went to get a brain scan because I was having all these symptoms. I was getting dizzy and falling over and seeing spots 6, 7, 8 months ago. I mean, it's still happening, but I went to the doctor, told him about my symptoms. I had to demand that I got to get a brain scan, and I went to get it, and then they would never give me the copies of my brain scan. The doctor's office just called me and said, "Hey, everything's fine. The doctor doesn't need to see you." And I said, "Actually, I'd like to request, to come in and see him." And the lady basically told me, "No, you can't. You're not going to come and see him. Everything's fine. We're busy." So, once the surgeons implanted the electrodes deep in the subject dog's brain, a battery pack and stimulator was added to the harness, through which signals could be sent to the electrodes. The stimulator had a reliable and capable of sufficient voltage output to be usable in the face of expected impedance variation across individual dogs. Another of the documents revealed perhaps even more disturbing news details on the use of experimental mind control drugs on unwilling human beings. Right there. Non-consensual human experimentation. So anybody saying that this is thought up and that there are no people being experimented on and that there's no technology like this, that everybody that says that they're a targeted individual, that they're going through these types of things that I explain are delusional, these people are either complicit or they've just listened to bullshit that they've been fed their whole lives, through repetition, the brainwashing, the programming. Suggesting experimenting with the use of psych drugs on inmates in prison hospitals and drugging suspected criminals awaiting trial. Huh. Wait, did I just read that correctly? And drugging suspected criminals awaiting trial, according to Sputnik News. It gets even worse. Yet another document details experimentation with hypnotic speaking techniques to enable mind control over large audiences. So this is what's called synthetic telepathy. And it can send through, the brain has no firewall. Again, this is not me thinking this stuff up in a dark room. It's through thousands of hours of research. The brain has no firewall, and this is according to Dr. Robert Duncan. It can be hacked. The technology that we have right now can be zeroed in on one person. If they want to send a message to that person subliminally, they can do that. The person doesn't even realize that the urge or the thought or the feeling that they're getting does not belong to them. So I won't explain what they've done to me with this yet, but I've heard other targeted individuals talk about how they would be standing next to an inanimate object, and get sexual arousal and not understand why that happened, or they will be in the car. Actually, I've seen this one happen in person. In the car, laughing, having a good time, and then all of a sudden, without understanding why, tears start streaming down their face. And they would immediately think like, "Oh my gosh, am I bipolar? What's going on?" But then you learn about this kind of technology and the manipulation that goes with it, and start to understand that some people are being harassed with this, or being controlled and manipulated, having their rights violated. And more evidence is coming out about this every day. Uh, YouTube channels with a few hundred subscribers, a few hundred, few 100,000 subscribers, are doing videos on MK Ultra, COINTELPRO, gang stalking, targeted individuals, getting millions of views. People are waking up to this and understanding that this is a system of power and control and manipulation, non-consensual human experimentation, and it needs to stop. We're not free people right now. At least the people that are targeted, we are not free at all until this stops. Until the corruption is wiped out, the cancer is wiped out in our government. These unacknowledged special access programs that violate every human right we have are stopped. And I don't even know what else to say. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end this video. But I just wanted to share this with people so they can learn and research. I don't know, I'm going to be inside all day today. I'm not going anywhere. It's cold out. Well, it's cold. I'm in Arizona. It's not that cold, but too cold for me today. Everybody have a great rest of the day, and I hope to talk to you soon.